So we're going to talk a little bit about transfer disclosure statement this morning. We just did the RPA yesterday. I think it was a good session. But the thing I want to point out to you is these three boxes here. So we talked yesterday about a complete TDS, right? How many of you guys make sure that one of those boxes is checked on the TDS? Okay, good. So you guys are in compliance. I just wanted to point out to you that if you don't check one of those boxes, the TDS is not complete. Okay, so it is an incomplete document. So most commonly, this is going to be the box that's going to be checked. Okay, because you're not going to have any substituted disclosures. If you do, for example, if you have additional inspection reports or something from a previous transaction, or you can use this. And then you can check this box. Typically the TDS is going to be, usually, hopefully, because it's within 7 days, your inspection reports and things like that are not delivered before that TDS is completed. If you do have a termite inspection or something, you could check this first box, but it's going to be kind of uncommon. Is there any questions on that?
So you mean if we're in escrow and we haven't done the disclosures yet, which we would normally,
Correct.
then we'd have to check yes, and we have home inspection and pest.
Correct,
Okay.
but the home inspection usually comes when?
Yeah, later.
Day 17 or plus,
Right.
where your TDS has to be handed into the seller by day 7, or to the buyer, excuse me. Yes, you had a question.
It's not entirely related, but I was just thinking, I was in escrow with the house on the buy side, and I know that we've got all those reports. I've now got some new buyers who are interested in the same house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they were say to go into escrow with this property,
Mm-hmm.
do they ask for new home inspections, or do we use the ones that were done like a month and a half ago?
You do not want to use the ones, you want to provide the inspection reports as additional disclosure, but you would highly encourage them to hire their own home inspector and not rely on the,
Thank you.
because you're going to run the risk. The reason for that is you're going to run the risk that if something goes bad down the road and the client turns on you and basically says, well, you told me I didn't need to do a home inspection, we relied on this other inspection, which didn't do a very good job. So you certainly need to provide it because there's knowledge, there's information there that needs to, you have it, you need to provide it. But this is just something that I wanted to refresh your memory. At the bottom of page 1 is this. And I went to CAR yesterday because I was kind of just going over some stuff, and I find this peculiar. And my question to the standard forms was, why is there no checkbox on exhaust fans? Okay, but there is a checkbox for roofs.
Not every house.
And no one has given me an answer to why that is the case. They took a note and they said, yeah, that probably should be looked at. We probably should do something different there. But anyway, it's just one of those peculiar things. The main reason why I want to emphasize this is that, do you ever leave any of these blank?
No. Do you ever do what? I'm sorry.
Do you ever receive a TDS where any of these things are blank?
Yeah.
You know that is not a complete TDS if those lines are blank.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have a seller that says, I don't know if I have 220 wiring, what is the answer? It is not blank. Okay, it is unknown. I don't know that. I have no idea. Fireplaces, okay, roof type. They'll just leave it blank as if just because they think they can leave it blank because they don't know. Okay, if they don't know, it's just like on your AVID, right? Nothing noted on your AVID. On the TDS, unknown. I don't know. Okay, that's an acceptable answer. Blank is not an acceptable answer. Yes.
Will the program allow you to go on if you don't answer all the questions? Don't want to do that? Well, you don't have to fill them out. They don't have to fill them out.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that question, but
It'll let them bypass all of it.
My sellers had an issue because they didn't have central heating and there's no space for wall heaters, so they were doing the TDS on Glide, and they were like, they got stuck right there because they wouldn't let them move forward without
got you.
the central heating.
Okay. Okay.
Well, that's weird.
There's probably some more peculiar things about that, but those are just the things I wanted to point out. Just simple trivia for you, okay, on a very extremely boring form that we all hate. More on the TDS. So this was a question from one of our agents, from their client. Okay, my buyer sent me this message upon signing a corrected TDS. County was wrong. Do we need to tell the seller's agent to fix it and send back out for signing or initialing corrections, or leave it alone? Was her question. So this was from the client. I see a few things on this page that need to be corrected. Not sure if this matters or not. Garbage disposal removed, single sink, washer dryer hookups in sight, smoke detectors were on site, satellite dish, so they can check these boxes, right? So the client is saying, does it need to be corrected? Does it need to be fixed? What's the answer?
Yes, no.
Okay, good. So you got it. So the answer is this. Good morning, that's a good question. Sellers required under the contract to provide the disclosures to the best of their ability. They may not have complete knowledge and disclose incorrectly. In the contract, the buyer's responsibility is to investigate the property. They use the disclosures to do part of the investigation. They discover things through the process that aren't correct. They then have the proper knowledge, and the seller's not obligated to amend the disclosures for items discovered by the buyer. So in this case, no, the TDS would not need to be sent back out and redone. Okay, we talked about that yesterday, right? It was this paragraph, right, in the RPA that talks about that in bold print. So when a buyer finds something out, now if the seller finds something out partway through the transaction, they have to amend it, right? They have to give an amended TDS. They have to disclose it. But if it's something found out by someone else and the buyer is notified of it, there's no need to modify the disclosures, okay? Everybody clear on that?
Yes.